Hello and welcome to this special edition of the Arbitration Conversation. This Arbitration Conversation is coming directly from the University of Missouri School of Law, so you get to see my messy office, as it were. And I'm very excited. We have a true legal tech entrepreneur up and coming in the industry. We have Olof Heggemann. Now, what's really great about this is, we're coming up to almost 100 episodes. And one thing that I've held near and dear to my heart is getting to talk to new voices and new people in the industry who are getting into ODR, online dispute resolution, and legal tech, which is exactly where Olof and what he's doing. So first of all, Olof, thank you for taking time with us. I know it's getting later there for you in Europe.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. The sun is setting here in Gothenburg, Sweden, so you'll probably see within the coming 10 minutes that it's actually getting darker here.
Complete opposite as we're in the morning here. So maybe first of all, could you just tell us a little bit about your background and kind of your journey in terms of what brought you to kind of becoming the head of a legal tech operation?
Yeah, so I have a background of studying law, of course. So I studied law in Sweden and also psychology. And after that, I applied to become a court clerk judge. So it's like it used to be one of those things that everyone in Sweden who studied law, they did this 2 years, but now it's more and more lawyers and less of these positions. So I did 2 years there, and actually met my girlfriend there, and we both wanted the same job, which was to start this program to work in court as a judge. So it's a 4-year program. So I applied to that one, and also that's what my girlfriend did, and we actually got accepted to the same job here in Gothenburg.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That works out. Match made in heaven, right?
Yeah. It was actually quite interesting because we had the interview. I had the interview at 9, and then she had the interview at 9:30. And the first question I received was, how would you describe yourself, Olof, or how would your partner or family describe you? And I could just say that, yeah, I can speculate on that, but you can ask my partner. She'll be here in 28 minutes. So.
That's a little funny, though. Was that awkward competing for the same job?
We knew that they would hire. There were several positions, so not that awkward.
Well, so what brought you to then starting Eperoto?
Yeah. Well, first I did 1 year in the Court of Appeal, which is the common way how it's done here in Sweden. And then after that, I was 1 year in the district court in a small coastal town called Varberg. It's a really nice town. And I've always been interested in tech and on the legal side, dispute resolution. And I was a bit like frustrated sometimes that, I mean, I'm sure it's the same in the US. Actually, I know it's the same in the US, that settlements discussions are always a part of all disputes, but many times parties who came to court, they hadn't really done a complete analysis of whether if it's a good idea to actually be in court, because just like in the US, legal fees are high, so usually it's of course better to settle. But many parties had a hard time understanding, okay, but I have a pretty good case, so I shouldn't settle. But what I heard was, you have a pretty good case. Pretty good means that, yeah, you should probably settle for something.
Yeah. Well, and then what exactly does your legal tech, what exactly does Eperoto do?
Yeah, we're very much inspired by academics from your side of the world. So I know you had John Landy at the show a few episodes ago. So I'm a big fan of what he's written, and also I'll probably pronounce this wrong, but I think it's Michaela Keats and Heather Hevin. They wrote a book together with or for the American Bar Association. So it's a lot about what's actually in this book, about how to think about the risks and rewards of a case, of a dispute, to understand if it's worthwhile pursuing a case in court. So I was really happy to see that Jan Landy was here, and there's also other academics who are on your side that's written a lot. One is called Martin Lichter. Yeah.
This is fantastic, though. It brings joy to my heart, as I say, because in fact, believe it or not, we were talking directly about this idea of litigation risk management and using technology like your own. And the students this morning in class, and we had John Landy in class last week.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Talking about the exact issues.
Wow.
So that's wonderful. And you just won an award for best presentation. So I know that you guys are really hitting the ground running in terms of the software and how you brought that together. Now, using your tech background or tech interests, or did you bring in a CTO, or how did you do this?
Now we have actually a very strong team, both on the hardcore tech side and on the design side. And those two, you need both of those sides really, because it doesn't matter if you have a really great technical solution if no one wants to use it. And on the other hand, just design without execution is also just something that looks good but doesn't. So as a part of Eperoto is a guy named Johan Thelin, who has done a lot of software work before. So he's our what we call software architect who's done a lot of that work. And then we have a guy called Dimitris. Actually, two of us here in Eperoto are called Dimitris. So it's a rather high percentage of the company is called that.
What sort of clients do you work with then, in kind of how do they sign up? Is it a subscription service or something where they can?
Yeah. We've been in operation for around a year now. So we still call our customers and our clients and our project, we call it late beta testing or pilot projects. But one of our first clients was a third-party funder, and I know that that's not very uncommon in the US, but particularly in Sweden, it's still a pretty new phenomenon. So one of those companies were actually the first one who kind of found us, and they have this. John Landy, he writes in this book about thinking about intangible costs, and those kind of aspects. But third-party funders, they are very much hardcore about what's this dispute about, because for them it's about risks and rewards, and for their clients it's about sharing risks and those things. So that was our first.
Does it use, I'm in looking at your software, I think, it's often what we call an expert system. Would you say it is within sort of expert systems, and are you using fixed algorithms, or do you also incorporate any AI?
We're not incorporating any AI. So it's purely based right now on what is called decision theory. So decision analysis, which is of course, and it also has a connection to psychology, because if you read this, I think it's also something written in this book by that we just spoke about, that humans, it's very hard to understand how probable something is to happen. Those kind of thoughts is something that we as humans, we're not good at thinking in those terms. So it helps with those things. So it's not this algorithm. It's basically what all lawyers, good lawyers are doing, but it's just much more efficient and much more clear using our system. I like the term, I don't remember who said it. It was someone on the show said conflict diagnostics or something like that. So that's a good term.
Yeah, I agree. And I really do feel strongly as well. I was going to say, I think having a background in psychology for you is really key to being behind this kind of software. And also, it's funny, we were talking just this morning in class with my students. We were talking a lot about decision tree analysis and really the importance of drilling down and thinking more deeply about
Yeah.
not only your interests in terms of the tangibles, but also the intangibles.
Yeah.
And when you think about not only your BOTNA, your best alternative
Yeah.
to a negotiated agreement, but also your bottom line, which may in
Yeah.
fact be different depending on the different costs,
Yeah.
intangible costs. So I love that your system takes psychology into account. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and what do you see as your biggest? I mean, one of the things I also think is very helpful for viewers as they're thinking about perhaps their own ideas or
Yeah.
maybe getting into legal tech or ODR. What have been the biggest hurdles and challenges? Because it's challenging to come up with a new idea and take it on the road. What have been your biggest challenges?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me give that some thought. I think it's that there's always this this very broad horizon of things, of directions you could move. So I guess the hard part is always sticking to one plan long enough so you understand that is this something that we should focus on, or should it be more of this or more of that. So that's like the biggest challenge, that when you are at the start of a journey, you could say it's deciding which direction to go and understanding when to kind of change directions.
That is a fantastic answer. And that is a very big struggle in so many things with life, right? There's always these kind of meta challenges in knowing which way. Do I go left? Do I go right? Or do I go somewhere in the middle? It's kind of tough to figure out. Absolutely. Well, listen, I know the sun is beginning to set for you, and I promised I wouldn't take too much of your time. Olof, it has been a real pleasure. I really thank you. I'm excited to watch your career, to watch the company, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person at one of these ODR events when we all resume travel. I look forward to that time.
I hope so. Yeah, maybe in Lausanne, maybe.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that. Hey, take care, and thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on the show.